Welcome to Shine Time on our brand new YouTube page. If you haven't already, like and subscribe on YouTube at Shine Time. Aaron Rodgers says there's zero debates. This will be his final season. But what can the Steelers really accomplish this year? Jalen Carter secures the bag. Bryce Harper wants some help. Are the Eagles and Phillies legit contenders? Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro joins me to talk about his Sixers, LeBron, and all things Philly sports. Is it the Pennsylvania Post? No, it's Shine Time, and it starts right now.
What is it? Why is this it?
I thought last year might be it, and then Mike got hired, and I talked to the wife, and she said, "You can do one more year." So I said, "Well, let's see if it works out," and then it kind of all came together.
We just talked to DK earlier, and he said, "Well, saying it's the last year might just be something guys say you don't get hit this year, you want to come back another year." Do you think you'll have any kind of debate or?
No, zero debate. Zero.
You're the man. My guy Aaron Rodgers says his wife gave him the go-ahead to come back this season, but there is zero debate. This is it. This is his swan song in the NFL. I love Aaron Rodgers. I live for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is my favorite person to interview in all of sports. Aaron Rodgers, to me, is the greatest thrower of the football in the history of the National Football League. Aaron Rodgers deserves a farewell tour, and I am absolutely thrilled that he is going to get it. I think Aaron Rodgers still has a ton of gas left in the tank, and I think he's going to add to his unbelievable resume. I mean, we are talking about someone who is fifth in passing yards, history of the NFL, fourth in passing touchdowns, sixth when you take a look at quarterback wins, fifth when it comes to quarterback starts, plus 4 MVPs for our guy, Aaron Rodgers. An ass kicker, domination, just a joy to watch play in the National Football League. And I love Rodgers whenever he talks at a news conference or when I have a chance to talk to him. He's always candid, thoughtful, honest, and he left no doubts this is it when it comes to his final season playing in the National Football League. And I'm here to tell you, I think this is going to be an excellent season. And I'm not throwing that word around. Now, we can start debating what excellent means, but look at these numbers on your screen right here. He hit the over when it came to the betting odds for passing yards and passing touchdowns. You look at the numbers from last year, and this was playing for Mike Tomlin and a different offensive coordinator. I think it's more than fair to believe Rodgers will throw for a minimum of 3,500 passing yards and over 30 touchdowns. And because it's who Rodgers is, it's what he believes in, the touchdown to interception ratio is going to be great because it always is historically. And I think Rodgers is primed for a better season because the Steelers are better. And let's start with the head coach, Mike McCarthy. I think Mike McCarthy is an upgrade over Mike Tomlin. And don't misinterpret. I think Mike Tomlin did a phenomenal job, fabulous job in Pittsburgh, won a lot of games. But it was time for a change. Mike McCarthy, Pittsburgh native, right guy, right time. And he's Aaron Rodgers' guy. And when I talked to Mike McCarthy after the NFL draft, this is before Rodgers officially signed, but you knew that it was inevitable. He said he felt like Aaron had a lot of gas left in the tank, and these guys made such unbelievable, sweet, historic, beautiful music together, winning a title in Green Bay. Rodgers won a couple of MVPs playing for Mike McCarthy. Mike has talked to me. Rodgers has talked to me about the famous Mike McCarthy quarterback school and the offseason program and how Mike McCarthy, quarterback whisperer. You could talk to Rodgers or Brett Favre or Dak Prescott or Rich Gannon or Joe Montana about what Mike McCarthy has meant to them during their legendary careers, whether Mike was a head coach or a quarterback coach or an offensive coordinator. And I just love that they're getting the band back together. This is great. And look, I don't think the Steelers have a legit number one receiver. I don't consider DK Metcalf to be a top 20 wide receiver in the NFL. I don't think Michael Pittman is a top 20 receiver in the NFL. But I think both these guys are in the 21 to 30 range. So I don't think they have a typical number one. I think they have a couple of 1As or 1Bs, however you want to phrase it. And that's going to be amazing for Rodgers. The tight end position is filled with unbelievable depth and talent. I really like the depth and talent in the receiver room. I love Rico Dowdle. I thought that was the most underrated move by any team this offseason. He's a 3-down back. And Mike McCarthy loves him. He had him in Dallas and raved about him. And I thought Dowdle last year really burst on the scene the year that he spent with the Carolina Panthers. So I'm really energized by this. I'm fired up by it. And when you take a look at the Steelers' schedule, I really think that it's all there for the Pittsburgh Steelers to get off to a hot start. You look at it, and I think that Atlanta is a perfect opportunity to get a win. They are absolutely going to be able to take care of business against the New England Patriots. I think that Cincinnati's going to win the division this year, but I think they'll beat them at home. I love them against Cleveland. Love them going up against Indianapolis at home. Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Cleveland. I mean, that beginning of the schedule is one where I think it's relatively, quote-unquote, soft. I wouldn't be surprised if you see the Pittsburgh Steelers minimum 6-2 in the first 8. And I wouldn't even be surprised if it was 7-1. That's how much I believe in the Pittsburgh Steelers. You take a look at the betting odds for this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can't believe how little Vegas likes this team. I bang the over on wins, bang them to make the playoffs, and I think this will be the year the Steelers have the ability to go out and win a playoff game. And I know you think about history and tradition with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it shouldn't just be about winning a playoff game. And I'm not getting crazy here. I'm not saying they're winning the division. I'm not saying they're making a real Super Bowl run. But I think people are sleeping on who the Pittsburgh Steelers are and what they're capable of. I really think that Rodgers, you saw him last year, Week 18, outgun Lamar Jackson pound for pound, throw for throw, third quarter, fourth quarter, in that second half in Pittsburgh to make the playoffs. That's vintage Aaron Rodgers. And I think that this team is better. I think the head coach is better. And I really think that, you got to remember this. The Steelers haven't won a game in the playoffs since they beat, I want you to think about the weight of this, Alex Smith and the Chiefs. 2015. What the hell does that even mean? That's a lifetime ago. I know the standard in Pittsburgh, one for a thumb, Lombardi Trophy, whatever it is. They need to win a playoff game, and they're going to be in position to do just that. I think the defense is vastly improved. I don't think Mike McCarthy gets enough credit. Omar Khan gets enough credit for improving the offensive line, improving the defense. I think T.J. Watt is going to get back to the form of being a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I think you are going to see Cam Hayward have a monster year. They are brilliantly coached. Mike McCarthy put together a great staff on defense, Patrick Graham and company. I really think that the Steelers are going to bounce back in a major way. And wouldn't it be fitting for Rodgers to have his moments on the way out? I just think the world of Aaron Rodgers. I think when you listen to him talk, and I interview him once or twice a year, he just has such a great appreciation for the NFL, for NFL history, for sports history. He is so revered by teammates and players throughout the NFL, current players, former players. He plays the game the right way. I am such a massive fan of Rodgers, who he is, what he does, and I can't wait for him one more time to shut up the haters. I really think the Steelers win a minimum of 11 games. I think that they finish in second place in the division behind the Cincinnati Bengals, and I can't wait to watch Aaron Rodgers for one final season. We will celebrate, we will appreciate one of the greatest quarterbacks who's ever lived, my guy, Aaron Rodgers. Staying in Pennsylvania, we move from west to east. The Eagles just made Jalen Carter the highest paid defensive tackle in the history of the NFL. 4 years, $152 million. GM Howie Roseman says it's not about what he's done, it's what they expect him to do next.
I saw Zach Vaughn yesterday, and he made a great comment. He said to me, he's like, when I signed my contract, someone told me, you don't pay me for what I did, you're paying for me what I'm going to do. And that's why we do these deals. You know, we don't do anything based on retroactive performance. We're doing things based on future performance.
That's the quote. That is exactly, at the end of the day, why Howie Roseman is a genius. Why I think he's unequivocally the best general manager in the National Football League and the best general manager in all of sports. Listen, the numbers on the Jalen Carter bag, insane, right? 152 mil. That's crazy. 106 mil guaranteed. Insane. If you watched him play last few years, you would say he's not worth that. But Howie, who obviously is there every day, is projecting. And for Howie to pay Jalen Carter this kind of money now, it's something that should make Eagles fans feel great, right? First of all, you trust Howie Roseman, who's the best in the business. It also means that Roseman believes that if he would have waited, then Carter would have had a monster year and the price tag would have gone up, absolutely through the roof. Jalen Carter was a first-round pick. Jalen Carter has been really good. I don't know if I would call him truly great, but you know the skills are there. He has to make sure he's healthy, has to make sure he doesn't do dopey things like spit on Dak Prescott, has to make sure he takes care of his body. But the trust in Roseman, because Carter at any given moment is the best pound-for-pound player on that defense for the Philadelphia Eagles, the trust in Roseman, that is ultimately what should inspire all Philadelphia Eagles fans. Because Howie Roseman, when it comes to things like this, I mean, he constantly pitches the perfect game. And Roseman nailed it in terms of the explanation. They're not going to pay Carter, make him the highest paid defensive tackle in league history based upon the early portion of his career. They're going to do it on predictive analysis for the future, including this year. Listen, I think Jalen Carter still has to grow. Grow as a player, grow as a leader, grow as a winner, grow as a worker. If it's good enough for Howie Roseman to give him $152 million, it's good enough for me, and it's good enough for all the fans of the Philadelphia Eagles. We move from Lincoln Financial Field to Citizens Bank Park, where Bryce Harper is looking for some new residents.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need some help, you know. But, you know, I think we've proved, you know, pretty much all year we've done a pretty good job. But, you know, anytime you can, you know, get some help in here and reinforcements, I think it helps.
Do you think that help would be best coming in the form of an arm or a bat?
I think both. You know, I think obviously everybody knows what we need, so I think I've said it over the last couple of days.
I love this from Bryce Harper. Absolutely love this. First of all, Bryce Harper is a superstar. The way he acts, the way he carries himself, the way he goes about his business, the way he slugs home runs. He also, during that rant, said he'd seen with the first baseman's glove, heck, if he needs to go back to the outfield or whatever it takes to help the team, Bryce Harper wants to win a World Series. Simple as that. Wants to deliver a World Series to the great fans of Philadelphia. If you're a Philadelphia fan, if you're a Phillies fan, you'll never get over what happened against Arizona. It was your NLCS to win. It was your World Series to win. They would have destroyed the Texas Rangers. They lost. It didn't happen. So Bryce Harper is willing to pick and choose his spots to speak to the press, but also speak to the top. He wants to speak to Preston Mattingly, the GM, Dave Dombrowski, the president of baseball operations, ownership. Spend the money, make trades, get rid of prospects, do whatever you need to do to get Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez and company some help. Look, I'm surprised, and I've been wrong, that the Phillies hit the skids in the second half of the season. You remember my take. I said you would see by the end of July. I'm wrong. It's not going to happen. The Phillies leapfrog the Atlanta Braves in the division. Instead, second half of the season, after the great celebration of baseball in Philly and America in Philadelphia at the All-Star game, the Phillies have gone south. And they're losing games in unfathomable fashion. I mean, that game that they lost on Monday night against the Marlins, who had lost 12 straight games, that was deplorable. I mean, it's not what the Philadelphia Phillies are. It's not what they do. It went against their entire DNA. I still love Don Mattingly. I still love the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't get off the bandwagon in any way, shape, or form. So what I want to see from Philadelphia, go big so you don't go home. Tariq Skubal started for the Detroit Tigers today. This should be the last game he ever pitches for the Detroit Tigers. There's no reason for Philadelphia to keep him. None. There's no reason for Detroit to keep him. None. If I'm Philadelphia, I would make a trade. Throw whatever you have to at the Detroit Tigers and go get Tariq Skubal. That's what I want to see from the Philadelphia Phillies. When I talked to Derek Jeter a couple of weeks ago and I asked him the best fit for Skubal, he said the Philadelphia Phillies. Listen, preseason, you know this on Shine Time, I said the Dodgers team to beat in Major League Baseball, draw the line. Phillies were my second best team in baseball. I still, if I was making a ranking, would put the Phillies number 2 in terms of most likely to win the World Series. Now, the Brewers could say something about that. The Braves could say something about that. The Yankees with their pitching could say something about that. Bryce Harper sees opportunity. You know, the Dodgers, you know, they've lost a couple of games in a row here. You know, the Dodgers don't have Shohei Ohtani in the rotation. Philly needs a bat. Philly needs an arm. Bryce Harper, who is a star and understands the weight of his words, tells management, do both. Go get Tariq Skubal. Go big so you don't go home in the playoffs. That's what I want to see for Harper, for the Phillies, for my guy Don Mattingly, and the great fans in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Coming up next, the governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and diehard Philadelphia sports fanatic, Josh Shapiro, joins me on Shine Time. Keep it locked. Joining us on Shine Time, the outstanding governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, diehard fan of the Philadelphia sports teams, my guy, Josh Shapiro. Governor, welcome to Shine Time.
Man, it's good to be on with you. I'm excited to talk some hoops and anything else on your mind. This is cool. Thanks for having me.
Well, first and foremost, you say this is cool. You know, some are saying that you're the most handsome guest we've ever had on the show because I hear it all the time. You're my doppelganger. You know, I'll get Jeff Goldblum or Andy Samberg or Zach Braff, but it's always you. I see it. Do you?
Dude.
How many times do people say to you, man, you look like Adam Schein?
Yeah, I walk into a room, they're like, yo, it's Shine Time. I want to just apologize publicly that you are compared to me and what I look like, man. I'm sorry you got to go through that. But no, it's good to see you. You look sharp.
Likewise, as always. I think it's pretty amazing when you take a look at what is going on in Philadelphia sports. You declared last Friday LeBron James Day when the Kings signed in Philly. Take us through this, Governor. What does it mean to the Sixers, to Philadelphia? And what was your reaction when the news broke? Did you think this would happen?
Yeah, so, I mean, let me answer both parts of this. I mean, I grew up a diehard Philly sports fan, right? 4 for 4. And when I was a little kid, you know, the Birds were playing well, the Eagles were playing well, the Phillies were winning, and the Sixers, this is back in like the Dr. J era, they were doing great. And then we go through what I refer to as the lean years, where, man, we didn't win a damn thing. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, Laura and I are blessed with 4 kids. All of a sudden our kids come along and all of our sports teams are winning again. So our kids did not live through those lean years. So in addition to being excited about how awesome our teams are right now, all 4 of them, I do have to say, when I think back as just a Philly sports fan, we have never had a signing like this since maybe you could argue Pete Rose coming to the Phillies, although that was like a really different time. And you know, whatever you think of Pete Rose, I don't think he was in the same stratosphere as LeBron James. So I think, number one, there's just an excitement, especially for those of us who went through those tough years, to see teams competing at the highest levels and being in a position to win a championship, Super Bowl, World Series every year. And I also think there's something special about the biggest superstar, arguably in the NBA, choosing us as the destination. That's a big deal. in terms of where I was in the middle of working, doing, governor stuff, got a heads up about it. And I must say, my first reaction was I just wanted to talk to my kids. Because, like, for me and Laura, our lives are so hectic, so busy. To have a few moments with all 4 of our kids in the same place, on the couch, watching a game, whether it's Sixers or whatever, that's like our special family time. And so for me, when I learned about LeBron James, I wanted to share that with family first.
And Game of the Chills right there. That's what it's all about. And sharing that and sports and Philly sports with your kids, that's special. Now, take us through this. You reportedly...
Wait, but I want to know, you can ask me what you want, but I want to know, where were you, and as a Knicks fan, were you like, oh, shit, this isn't good for us? What were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I now think the Sixers are the biggest threat to the Knicks. I think that Philadelphia is loaded. And honestly, Governor, I go back to the Jaylen Brown deal. I still can't believe that. LeBron, I could wrap my brain around a little bit on the heels of Jaylen Brown. But the biggest move to me that was the holy cow wow for Philly was Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, no question. And like me, I'm sure you grew up hating the Celtics. So there's something special about fleecing the Celtics. But I think you're right. I would add one more thing. And one of the reasons why I thought you guys were so strong in making your run this year, aside from the fact that you had the entire Villanova championship team on your squad, but you guys were deep. You could throw Deuce McBride in there, who'd get hot, put up a few threes. You had a couple backup big men there. I mean, you had a number of players who could come off the bench, 3-and-D guys, who would spell your starters and keep New York in the game, or even sometimes, the plus-minus would be +2, +4, something like that. And so to me, that is also a story that's gone really unreported, I think in many ways, is the depth of our bench right now is really, really strong. And with a guy like Dean Wade, Simons, KCP, who just got picked up recently. Like, we got some depth, and we also have guys who have been there before, who have a championship mentality, which is really going to help guys like Tyrese and Joel and others. So
100%.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and Brown's obviously won. LeBron is as great as it gets. Nick Nurse has won a championship, so you're 100% right about that. Now, you reportedly ran into LeBron at dinner with the Clintons. I mean, the whole thing is awesome. Did you pitch him on Philly? What did you say?
Yeah, I sure did. I mean, I was at a restaurant, actually in New York City, having dinner, as you said, and LeBron walked in. And I shot my shot. I mean, I just was very clear. Come to Philly. Not only can you help us win a chip, the fans will love you. And, he's also someone who I think is really known for his philanthropic work. He really cares about the community around him. And I thought Philly would be an outstanding place for him to do his philanthropic work, along with, of course, what he does in Ohio, where he's from. Now, listen, I don't want to claim any ownership over this decision. He made the decision that was right for him and his family. But when I had the shot, I took it.
Good for you. I mean, got to shoot the shot in that situation.
Yeah.
Now, we uncovered some footage published by the Philadelphia Inquirer of your prowess on the courts, which I love. So take us through this, and if you have any advice on how to play in Philly for the King.
Look, man, I'm somewhat of an old school X's and O's guy, right? I mean, I still remember as a point guard, you lead the fast break, you stop at the foul line, you throw your bounce pass, and you get an easy layup. That's obviously not how the game is played right now. But I do think that I would run the ball through LeBron as much as I can on the point. I mean, I think he knows how to create. I saw that, they were talking about this a little bit the other day. I think it was Nick Nurse who was talking about it. I think that eases, some of the pressure off of him to score. And quite frankly, these are 5 guys who all need the ball in their hands, our starting 5. And he's going to distribute it in a way that's going to get Tyrese some more open looks, that's going to allow Joel to hit that mid-range jumper that, I mean, I don't think since Hakeem Olajuwon has a big man been able to do that as well, that kind of elbow jumper that he hits, takes some pressure off of him and his body. I think LeBron is going to help VJ be able to slash even more. And so I would run him off the point as much as I can. Of course, LeBron knows when to take his shot. And he knows that better than anybody else. He sort of doesn't need to be coached on that. So I'm excited about that. I think it's going to take some pressure off the other guys and working the ball through him. That's what I would be looking at. I would also say that what he is going to do to the mentality of this team is going to make us tougher.
Yes.
And going to make us play better defense. And listen, it's very, very hard for me to compliment the Knicks, but there was a toughness to the Knicks. And if you're not tough like that, it's going to be hard for you to make a deep run. I think the Sixers historically have not had that toughness. We will have that toughness now with Jaylen Brown and with LeBron James knowing how to win a championship and being tough players themselves.
Absolutely. And I love Tyrese Maxey, and he's going to take his game to a different
Incredible.
level. I love our
Incredible.
guy, Howie Roseman. I think he's arguably the best executive in sports. I interview him all the time. Want to get your take on the Eagles this year. Are you still a believer in Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, I sure am. By the way, I called Howie the finest GM, not in football, but in all of sports.
Yeah.
By the way, Gansey's giving him a hell of a run at the Sixers right now with all these deals he's pulling off. But no, Howie has just done it repeatedly over so many years. He's calm and steady. He sees things that other people don't see. And he is constantly tinkering and putting a team on the field who are capable of winning a Super Bowl. Now, look, you got to stay healthy. Some breaks have to go your way. But he's doing his part. To the heart of your question, I do believe in Jalen Hurts. I think he's disrespected in the NFL. I think now that the wide receiver stuff is sorted out, you're going to see him be able to air it out even more and more effectively than he was able to last year. I don't think our offensive coordinator was very good last year. I think the moves that Howie's made on the coaching side and on the field, picking up Mekhi Lemon, was really good. I think you're going to see Devonta now be able to rise to a different level. He's just such a talented receiver. And remember, I think, and I should thank you for this, we have the finest running back in the NFL. And so really, just from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to you and all the Giants fans for giving us Saquon Barkley. So, yeah, I think we can win another Super Bowl this year, and Howie's doing everything right to put us in that place.
And I agree with you on Devontae Smith and the way Howie, and the Howie Roseman Invitational, known as the NFL Draft, stole Mekhi Lemon. I want to tap into your fandom for a second.
By the way, I was in Pittsburgh for that because, of course, we brought the NFL Draft to Pittsburgh. You imagine sitting out there as a Birds fan when Howie did his thing? I mean, that was a little uncomfortable.
And did it to the Steelers. I mean, the whole thing was wild.
That's my point. Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. And it's vintage Howie. All right, give me, Governor, if you can, your favorite players. We could talk about growing up. We could talk about sharing with your kids. A Flyer, an Eagle, a Philadelphia Philly, a Sixer of all time. One from each team, and why?
I mean, you asked the question a little bit differently. Usually I get the Mount Rushmore question.
Yeah, I don't want that. I want favorite.
No, you asked my favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, so let's start with the Sixers. If you're going Mount Rushmore, you're going Dr. J or AI. Both are just incredible. But my favorite Sixer of all time, this is going to be a deep pull for you here, was Mo Cheeks.
Woo! Love that.
Incredible point guard. And the thing, and I always tried to learn from watching him, not suggesting I was anything like him on the court, but he knew when to accelerate. He knew when to slow down. He knew when he had to slash and take the layup or slash and dish. He knew how to get, again, a really talented squad there. He knew how to get these guys the ball in a position where they could succeed. And he just struck me as a guy who was just the smartest basketball player there. I've never met Mo Cheeks. I don't know him personally, but for me growing up, he was a guy I always sort of looked to sort of model or emulate. I thought he was really something special.
I love the Philly fan. I truly do. And I interact with them, on radio, on Sirius XM all the time, and all the Instagram posts on X. They're smart. They're passionate. What's the biggest misnomer when it comes to the Philly sports fan?
You use the word passionate, and I actually think that's the right word. I think people think sometimes and I'm saying we, I'm putting myself in that category, we're obnoxious fans. And I think that that's disrespectful because I think what we have is just a passion for our team. We love them. And you know what? when they work hard, win or lose, we always have their back. It's when we feel like they're not putting 100% on the field, or we feel like, they're kind of maybe mailing it in, or they're not their best selves. That's when we get on them. And that is the Philly way. And so, some people see us booing or whatever, you think we're obnoxious. I think it's just passion. And what I think you maybe don't appreciate, I mean this with the utmost respect, being in New York or not being in Philly, is I don't think you can appreciate how the psychology of our city is changed when our teams are playing well.
Makes
you
sense.
Just experienced this with the Knicks. It was a pretty cool thing to watch. New York rally around them. That is sort of Philly all the time, up and down. And so there is something that being a Philly sports fan and these teams have on, the psyche of our city and really across Philly, across the whole area, that is just unique, and it is special, and it is something I love, and it's a passion I have inside me.
Now, before we let you go, I want you to put these future events in chronological order for me. And for the record, I'm only rooting for one. Sixers championship, Phillies championship, Flyers championship, Eagles championship. Josh Shapiro announces he's running for president. If you had to put that in chronological order, how would you do it?
Well, I'd put all those sporting championships way ahead of that. I mean, look, man, and you're not going to ask me to pick between my children on which championship is
I didn't
more
ask you.
important.
I knew not to do that.
I'm
You're
not
too
doing
smart
that.
of a fan. You're too good of a fan. No one does that to a fan, right?
Can't do it. No, it's pretty cool. I mean, look, the Phils are playing well now. Probably tinker a little bit around the trade deadline. Tons of hope for the Birds. They kind of, cleared up some of the issues last year. Obviously, expectations are sky high with the Sixers. And the Flyers, after kind of being down for a few years, man, they had a nice playoff run. A lot of young guys. These young guys are going to play together more, mature more, great ownership there. We got great ownership, frankly, across all the teams who are investing in winners. So I'm optimistic that all four of them could win a championship here over the next couple of years.
I don't think that's hyperbole in any way, shape, or form. Governor Shapiro, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And you definitely are the most handsome guest we've ever had on Shine Time. I'd say best of luck to all your teams, but I wouldn't mean it, so we just appreciate the time.
I appreciate it, man. Cool to be on Shine Time and great to be with you. I'm a big fan of you and the show, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you, Governor. Up next, Draymond Green gets his money back after the Warriors failed to land the king. But why is he criticizing the king of New York? You don't want to miss his beef. The Philadelphia 76ers signed LeBron James. The Golden State Warriors, despite reportedly at one point being the favorite, did not. Draymond Green has thoughts.
He's going to get crushed if he comes to the Warriors. Oh, man, you went to team up with Steph. You had to go to them, all the things that people would have said. And I think ultimately that weighed in on the decision a lot.
Well, let's get into this. With LeBron out of the picture, Draymond Green returned yesterday to the Warriors. Basically, it was the whole player option contract. 1 year, $27.7 million. That was what he signed for. He had declined his player option, hopeful that LeBron was going to sign. They're both clutch guys. $27.6 million, wanted to free up some money, wanted to land the king. By the way, I disagree with everything that Draymond Green said right there. It would have been celebrated if LeBron went to Golden State. He wants to win a championship. He loves the mix in Philadelphia. He chooses the Sixers. Can't rip him for it in any way, shape, or form, and I give him a ton of credit. So, after that decision by James, where does this leave the Warriors, who, by the way, were Philly's original NBA team? So, a couple of things here. And I think it's important to kind of take a breath and reset. Because our friend Shams Charania was talking to my friend Stephen A. Smith on his incredible SiriusXM show. And he said he thinks that the Warriors will extend that max contract on August the 29th, 2 years for the max money, hundreds of millions of dollars for Steph Curry, and extend that to Steph. And I think they absolutely should, and Steph should sign it. There are people out there who say, well, Steph should seek a trade, and maybe the Warriors should trade him, and they're going nowhere. Let me tell you something. That is crazy talk. You have to make sure that you never paint with a broad brush, right? You know, Mike Trout should not spend his entire career in Anaheim. I'm rooting against that because I want to see him go somewhere else so he can win, right? Philadelphia would make a lot of sense. Steph Curry is San Francisco. He is Oakland. He is Napa. He is the Bay Area. And he's delivered 4 championships. And he is the ultimate show. They sell out the Chase Center for every single game. When I'm looking at potential Knicks games to take my kids to, I still want to see Steph because it's like seeing someone that you've never seen before. So I still think what they do in Golden State is the right thing. And they've tried through the years to kind of win and retool, and here's Kuminga, and here's this guy and that guy, and now it's Yaxel. Let me tell you something. And Warriors fans, you might say you don't want to hear it. I think Warriors fans are very comfortable where they are right now. Winning doesn't matter. It just doesn't. They've won all their games. Draymond Green coming back is great. This might be his final year. Steve Kerr comes back for this season, maybe next season. I would say it would make sense for Steph and for Draymond and for Kerr 2-3 more years. I can't see any way that Steve Kerr is going to allow Steph Curry to be traded. I can't see any way Steph Curry says, get me to Dallas so I can be with Clay. Get me to L.A. Get me to Charlotte where he grew up and, you know, Del Curry's uniform was retired. I don't see any of that. You have to remember, this is still a business. And the Warriors, they're not a playoff team. They weren't a championship team with LeBron James. They're just not. You just keep this thing going as a show, as a cash cow, as must-see TV, until it's time for everybody to go. And I'd say that Warriors fans, you know, might be offended by that, but they're not. And if they're bored in late April next year, they can watch DVDs of all the championships that Steph won. I've never heard a Warrior fan ever combat that take when I've said that over the last couple of years. It doesn't even matter. Look, I want to see Steph win. I want to see the Warriors continue to win. Max him out, give him a new contract, never trade him, and I don't think Steph Curry under any circumstance, he's too synonymous with the Warriors, with Golden State, with the Bay Area. Seeing Steph Curry in another uniform at the end of his career would give me the shakes. And I don't think that's Steph. And he is such a beloved superstar, not only in the Bay Area, but all throughout the NBA. Look, Kevin Durant changed teams, and he's not beloved. LeBron James changed teams a bunch. He's not beloved. Everybody loves Steph Curry. I think he's very cognizant of that. I think he's a top 10 player in NBA history, and I think he knows that, and he will stay in Golden State, as he should, for his entire career. Draymond hasn't just been busy getting his own deal done. He found some time to talk about other people's money, namely the star of my world champion Knicks.
It's the New York Knicks, bro. They can afford it. You ain't got to take no discount.
Of course.
For them to get paid, you ain't got to. My situation is different because Steph making $270, Clay making $180.
Yeah.
All right, something got to give. Cool, I can take a little. I can take less. But he the top guy.
Yes, sir.
Sure. By the way, let Josh Hart or somebody else take less.
And Josh Hart did not take too kindly to Draymond's suggestion, tweeting this in response. We got to normalize grown men not counting other people's pockets. Hey, Draymond, you keep my superstar. You keep the king of New York. You keep my guy Jalen Brunson's name out of your mouth. I don't want to hear you ever talk about Jalen Brunson. First of all, I will never, ever, ever criticize a star in any sport for taking all the money. Let's start there. It's your career. your livelihood, X amount of years you can play and be a superstar. So I will never criticize a quarterback in the NFL, and fans might say, well, look at what Tom Brady did. And he took, if you want to take all the money, take it all. That's your right. If you want to take less in a salary cap league, so you can afford as a team to get the right parts and pieces around, great. Phenomenal. By the way, I didn't hear Draymond ripping fellow Clutch client, LeBron James, for signing a 2-year, $8 million contract with the Philadelphia 76ers. Because for LeBron, that equaled happiness. He wants to win, thinks he has a great opportunity to do that when you look at the ability to go out and win with the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, enough. Josh Hart is right. 100% right. And Draymond Green needs to chill the hell out. I mean, and Josh Hart shouldn't be taking less money. Josh Hart should take as much money as he can make because he's the ultimate winning role player on a championship wheel. Knicks, Villanova. That's who he is. That's what he does. That's why New York loves him. But keep Jalen Brunson's name out of your mouth. Stop talking about him. He's everything right with sports. That pissed me off. Man, that pissed me off. That's the show. If you missed any portion of the show, just do what I do and watch the show over and over and over again. I want you to go to our brand new YouTube page, @ShineTime. Like, subscribe. Listen, this is our home. It's what we do. And we'll see you tomorrow on Shine Time.